Greetings and welcome to the latest edition of Legal Bites, the official podcast of Cummings and Cummings Law, where we focus on helping businesses and their owners redomesticate out of unfriendly legal and tax environments like the formerly Golden State of California to predictable pro-entrepreneurship, pro-growth jurisdictions like Florida and Texas. Today, we are reviewing a recent report by Judy Abel, writing for the Malibu Times, entitled California Exodus Continues in 2025. But first, a brief introduction. My name is Chad Cummings, and I am an attorney and certified public accountant serving clients in matters of business, tax, and commercial law throughout the states of Florida and Texas. I am Chief Executive Officer of the multi-state multi-attorney law firm Cummings and Cummings Law. And in addition to my day job, I also teach business and tax law at the university level. I hold 4 degrees, including 2 law degrees, as well as a bachelor's degree in accounting and a master's degree in taxation, in addition to 11 professional licenses and certifications covering accounting, tax, audit, and of course, the law. My firm website is www.cummings.law. The Malibu Times reported on January 18th, 2026, just earlier this year, that California led the nation in outbound migration for the 6th consecutive year. In 2025 alone, California recorded a net loss of approximately 216,000 residents. That loss follows a net loss of approximately 239,000 residents during 2023 and 2024, and losses exceeding 400,000 residents between 2020 and 2023. U-Haul ranked California dead last among all 50 states for net migration in 2025. The company logged more than 2.5 million one-way rentals involving California, and the balance tipped toward departures. 50.6% of one-way customers were leaving, while 49.4% were arriving. That small percentage difference may not seem like much, but applied across 2.5 million transactions translates into tens of thousands of people evacuating the state. And the destinations are telling. U-Haul identified Arizona, Oregon, Nevada, Texas, and Washington as the top landing spots, and I would add Florida to that list as well. Some of those states impose no broad-based individual income tax. California, meanwhile, joined Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, and Illinois as the 5 states with the largest net population losses in the country. And this is not a coincidence. This is a pattern. And it has been building and repeating for at least 6 years. The report identifies housing affordability as the dominant variable, and the numbers support that characterization. According to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, the cost of living in California is 12.6% higher than the national average, and housing costs run 57.8% above the national average. Those figures place home ownership and even long-term renting beyond the reach of much of the middle class. A senior fellow at the Public Policy Institute of California confirmed that out-migration has been building for more than a decade and accelerates during periods of economic uncertainty. But housing is only one variable. Taxes, regulatory burden, wildfire risk, rising insurance premiums, and industry contraction in the entertainment sector are all pushing residents and business owners toward the exit. Los Angeles County has been the single largest contributor to California's domestic population losses since 2020. High housing costs, long commutes, congestion, quality of life deterioration, repeated fire seasons, and job losses in film and television have driven tens of thousands of residents to relocate to more affordable markets in other states. For business owners operating in Los Angeles, the calculus is straightforward. The state takes 13.3% of income exceeding $1 million at the top marginal rate, and that's in addition to and not in place of your federal tax bill. The city layers on additional business taxes, insurance costs continue to rise in fire-prone areas, and the talent pool is migrating to states that do not impose these burdens. This is where business owners need to think beyond personal relocation. Moving yourself out of California is one decision. Moving your company out of California is a legal transaction, and it must be handled with precision and care. If you own an LLC, corporation, or partnership domiciled in California, your company remains subject to California's tax regime and regulatory framework, regardless of where you live, unless and until you change the company's state of domicile and discontinue your business operations there. Personal relocation without business redomestication leaves your entity exposed to California's franchise tax, minimum tax obligations, and ongoing jurisdictional and filing requirements. Redomestication is the legal process of transferring the home state of an existing business entity from one state to another. The company retains its federal employer identification number, contracts, bank accounts, and credit history. And in almost every case, it also retains its business name. No new entity is formed. No assets are transferred between companies. No federal income tax is triggered when the transaction is executed in strict compliance with the Federal Internal Revenue Code, applicable Treasury regulations, and the statutes of both the departing and destination states. And let me dispel a common misconception here. All the time I speak with prospective clients and even many attorneys who tell me redomestication is not possible out of California, to which I say, you are behind the times. Redomestication is now the law in California, and it has been for some time. But back to the matter at hand. Under redomestication, the company that exists after the process is completed is the same legal entity that existed before. Every contract remains in full force and effect. Every bank account remains open. And the IRS treats the redomesticated entity as the same taxpayer with the same federal employer identification number. The so-called alternatives are vastly inferior in almost every case. Foreign entity registration, also known as foreign qualification, keeps the company domiciled in California and merely registers it to transact business in another state. The company then must maintain compliance, pay fees, and file returns in both jurisdictions. That defeats the point of leaving California. It doubles the administrative burden instead of reducing it, and it does not sever the all-important tax nexus with the Golden State. A traditional merger, on the other hand, requires the formation of a new entity in the destination state, the transfer of assets, the renegotiation of contracts or assignment of contracts, and the closing and reopening of bank accounts. Legal fees for a simple merger can exceed $10,000, and a poorly structured or executed merger can trigger a taxable event. Finally, dissolution, also sometimes conflated with termination, is the worst option by a wide margin. Dissolution terminates the company. It is not a mechanism for relocation. The limited liability protection ceases to exist the moment the entity is dissolved. If your CPA or attorney is suggesting dissolution as a relocation measure, you should seek a second opinion. Dissolution is like burning down your house to move to a new neighborhood. Outstanding claims, known and unknown, past, present, and future, can and will attach to the personal assets of the owners in a dissolution. That includes your home, your vehicles, your retirement accounts, and your bank accounts in many cases. If you intend to continue operating your business, dissolution is not a relocation strategy. It is a liquidation event that can, in certain cases, lead to personal bankruptcy. The 6-year trend documented in this article is not reversing, it is accelerating. California lost 216,000 residents on a net basis in 2025. It lost 239,000 in the 2 years before that. It lost over 400,000 during the pandemic years. The state's total population grew by 0.05% last year, or at least so we are told. And that marginal growth was sustained only by international immigration and births barely offsetting domestic losses and deaths. For business owners who have already made the personal decision to vacate or who are actively considering it, the company should follow. Leaving your LLC or corporation domiciled in California while you relocate to another state is a half measure that preserves the tax exposure you are trying to escape. Don't take my word for it. Ask your CPA, and if you get a blank stare, find a different one. If you have questions regarding redomesticating your existing LLC or corporation, please use the link in the description for more information on this interesting process and to schedule time for us to speak about your specific situation. Again, my name is Chad Cummings, and I hope that you found this information helpful. As always, the information in this presentation is general in nature. It is not legal advice, because legal advice definitionally must be specific to a particular set of facts and circumstances. Should you have any questions regarding this information or the content of any of my many earlier presentations on these topics, please visit my firm website at www.cummings.law, not .com, but .law to schedule time for a consultation. I look forward to the opportunity to speak with and perhaps even work with you very soon.